was just in the paint trying to be help side, and someone ran into my knee and it just snapped, and knee injuries are weird to me. Like, I don't really like thinking about them.
The team confirmed that Sophie Cunningham is out for the rest of the season with a knee injury, and subsequent reporting clarified it's an MCL tear. On her own podcast, Sophie backed that up herself and added something major. She's opting for surgery with an expected 4-month recovery. That timeline matters. In the world of ligament injuries, an isolated MCL, while painful and season-ending, usually sits on the manageable side compared to an ACL or patellar tendon. No associated fractures and no multi-ligament damage were mentioned publicly, which is about as good as bad news gets. If the calendar holds, she should hit next preseason without a cloud over her. Here's the part that surprised a lot of people. Not every MCL tear needs surgery. Athletes often rehab them without going under the knife, especially when stability can be restored with bracing and physical therapy. So why did Sophie choose the surgical route? It signals she and the medical staff want predictability. Surgery can stabilize the ligament, compress the uncertainty, and, when everything goes right, give a cleaner ramp-up. There's downtime up front, but for a pro who lives in cuts, closeouts, and awkward landings, predictable stability can be worth more than an extra month of conservative rehab. The play itself was basic basketball chaos. Bria Hartley turned the corner toward the baseline. Eyes up for a skip pass, Sophie slid in to help, and bodies collided. Then came the freeze frame that lit a match. A shot where Bria appears to be smiling while Sophie clutches her knee. That image ricocheted through social feeds and instantly turned into a storyline. Did she do it on purpose? Sophie shut that down quickly. She's friends with Bria, said point blank. She doesn't believe there was any intent.
Because I know Bria, and I'm actually really good friends with Bria. I don't think that there was no ill intent. I think it was basketball play. I was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. She fell. Like, there's no way that she would go in there and intentionally try to hurt me. And
wanted that narrative cooled. It's a reminder that still photos love to lie. A blink can look like a grin. A wince can look like a smirk. The internet tends to reward the most dramatic version first, but players live with the fallout. That's why Sophie answered it herself. Now, zoom out. The ripple effects hit everywhere at once. The Fever lose a floor spacer with juice, a talker on defense, and someone who toggles between scrappy plays and timely threes. Without her, the offense leans even more on Kelsey Mitchell's on-ball creation and Aaliyah Boston's touch points in the lane. The margin for error at guard tightens. Possessions matter more because the bench is thinner, and every turnover or missed box out costs more than it did a week ago. Expect lineups to get pragmatic. Fewer experiments, more, trust this action and go. The wing defense has to rotate a hair faster, and the rebounding battle becomes a nightly referendum on effort. And then there's the elephant in the room, Caitlin Clark. According to Sophie, Caitlin's situation is genuinely day-to-day, and even she doesn't know the exact return date. Fans are asking the obvious question. If Sophie is out for the season, does it still make sense to bring Caitlin back late, especially if the playoff road looks steep? That decision isn't just medical, it's philosophical. Do you chase the momentum of a late push, or do you protect the long game and avoid even a sliver of risk? Reports suggest the next handful of games could become the decision maker. A couple statement wins shift everything. A rough stretch might quietly close the door. It's not romance, it's calculus. Meanwhile, the front office made a quick guardroom adjustment. Kyra Lambert was waived after seeing only a sliver of court time, and the team added veteran guard Shey Peddy. If you've watched Peddy over the years, you know what that means. Poise, low turnover possessions, and a reliable end-of-game brain. She won't blow up the box score, but she can get your best players the ball in their best spots and settle a huddle. That matters in games that swing on 2 or 3 plays. Also expect Lexi to absorb more of the starting wing minutes because her willingness to defend, cut, and shoot on the catch helps glue the other 4 together. The rotations may look simple on paper, but the trick is how they close. Who handles the ball against pressure? Who's screening for whom? Who takes the emergency shot with 7 on the clock? There's also a bigger tension running underneath all of this, and if you cover both leagues, you feel it. The NBA and WNBA make similar decisions for very different reasons. Smaller rosters and tighter caps in the W can force faster pivots. Hardship contracts and short-term deals can rotate a bench overnight. Transparency around injuries can feel different because the ripple effects hit immediately, on minutes, on roles, and sometimes on the math of staying under the cap. Fans who live in NBA logic expect one rhythm. W teams often have to improvise in real time. So when a star's timeline feels vague, it's not always a smokescreen. Sometimes the decision window genuinely moves every 48 hours. Back to the court. If you're looking for the signal in the noise, start with 3 questions that will quietly decide the next 2 weeks. First, does the offense find balance without Sophie's spacing? If Boston's touches come on time and Mitchell gets pain-free lanes to the rim, the scoring doesn't have to crater. Second, how quickly does Shey Peddy sync with the core? If she can buy the team 3 or 4 clean possessions late, that's often the difference between life and a close loss. Third, do the wings defend without fouling? 2 free throws here, 2 there, and the rope you're climbing gets twice as long. There's also the schedule reality. Reports suggest the next stretch includes matchups that don't forgive mistakes. Teams like the Minnesota Lynx punish bad spacing and slow decisions. That's where the Fever's culture actually shows up. You heard Steph say it. They don't quit. That relentlessness isn't a slogan. It's the thing that steals a game you shouldn't win. If they bank even a couple of those while Caitlyn's status is day-to-day, the entire conversation about her return changes. If not, the smart move might be to protect the investment and lock in a measured off-season ramp. One more layer on Sophie's timeline, because it matters for how we frame the rest of the year. A 4-month post-surgery plan usually looks like this: early range work to get the knee moving, progressive strengthening to stabilize, then a careful reintroduction to cutting and lateral work. The finish line is change of direction at game speed without hesitation. If she hits those benchmarks without setbacks, she walks into next season without asterisks. That's the hope you hold on to when a season flips on a single possession. And about that photo, because it's going to resurface. It's been said that the internet can decide intent in half a second. Players know it, and that's why Sophie addressed it herself. She didn't just clear Bria, she reminded people that basketball is chaos wrapped in angles and timing. A still frame can't tell you whether someone was exhaling, grimacing, or reacting to a whistle off camera. If there's a takeaway there, it's this: give athletes the grace you'd want if a microsecond of your life went viral. So where does that leave the Fever right now? In a narrow lane, but not a dead end. The identity has to be sharp. Value every possession, defend like your life depends on the next screen, and let veterans simplify late. If a few of those coin flip games start landing their way, they'll earn the right to revisit Caitlyn's timeline with momentum on their side. If not, patience isn't surrender. It's stewardship. Sometimes the boldest move a franchise makes is the one it chooses not to make. Watch the little things over the next 10 to 14 days. Who closes? Who organizes late? How often does Boston get the ball in rhythm? Does Peddy buy them a calm final minute? How many threes come off inside-out action instead of bailout heaves? These are tells. They'll reveal whether this is a team bracing for tomorrow or squeezing everything out of today. Injuries can flatten a season. They can also clarify it. One collision forced a lot of hard choices, but it also stripped away the noise. Now we get to see what the Fever value most: immediate belief or long-term vision. The beauty is that either answer, if owned fully, can be the right one. The real plot twist might be this: sometimes a team discovers who it is only after the plan breaks. That's the story worth sticking around for.